The colony was bright, full of shining towers and flying machines. Strange alien people walked in groups, their colorful skin glowing under the two suns. They laughed, talked, and shared food in the open market. But in the middle of all this life, there was one figure who never joined them. She was a young alien girl. Her skin was pale and dull compared to the others. One of her legs was weak, and she moved slowly, dragging it behind her when she walked. She was smaller, thinner, and weaker than the rest. The others saw her not as one of them, but as a burden. Everywhere she went, whispers followed. There she is again. Why is she even alive? No one will ever bond with her. The alien society was built on the idea of bonding. From birth, every child was expected to find a partner, someone who would share energy and strength with them. Bonding was not just friendship, it was survival. Without a bond, an alien could never reach their full power. Alone, they stayed weak. But with a bond, they could grow strong, fly ships, fight battles, and be respected. This girl, however, had been refused by everyone. No one wanted to bond with someone disabled, someone who could not fight or work hard. She was left out. At mealtimes, she sat alone. While others ate together, laughing and passing food, she kept her plate close and looked at the ground. Sometimes she pretended not to care, but inside her heart was heavy. She wanted just one friend. She wanted someone to sit with her, to talk with her, to tell her she mattered. But days turned into months, and months into years. Still, no one came. The children were the cruelest. They would run past her, mocking the way she limped. They would say, "Look, the broken one walks again," and laugh until their stomachs hurt. She never fought back. She only lowered her head and let the pain bury itself inside her. At night, when the colony grew quiet, she would climb to the edge of the cliffs that overlooked the stars. There, she whispered to herself, maybe somewhere out there, someone will not hate me. Maybe one day I will not be alone. The stars gave her comfort, but they gave no answers. One day, when she passed the training fields, she saw her people practicing with energy weapons. They moved fast, leaping high, showing off their strength. Their partners stood close, sharing energy, their bonds glowing bright like fire. She stopped to watch. For a moment, she imagined herself out there, strong and fearless, fighting beside someone who believed in her. But the dream broke quickly. One of the trainers saw her and shouted, "What are you staring at, outcast? You don't belong here. Go back to hiding." The others laughed again. Her cheeks burned with shame. She turned and walked away, her weak leg dragging harder with every step. That night, she sat alone in her small shelter. She held a small crystal in her hands, a crystal that once belonged to her mother. Her mother had died when she was very young. The only words she remembered were, "You are different, but one day your difference will matter." She clutched the crystal tightly. "When will that day come?" she whispered. The truth was, even though she looked weak, even though everyone called her broken, she carried something inside her, something she had never told anyone. Sometimes when she touched the crystal, she felt strange energy move through her body. She could sense things, small things at first, like when a storm was coming, or when someone was about to open a door before they touched it. The feeling scared her. She thought maybe it was just her imagination. But deep down, she knew it was real. And she also knew that if the others found out, they would not believe her. They would laugh, call her a liar, or worse, call her cur. So she stayed quiet. Still, the whispers of power would not leave her. Every night, she felt the same pull when she looked at the stars. It was as if the universe itself was waiting for her, calling her, promising that her loneliness would not last forever. Yet every day she woke up to the same cruel world, the same stares, the same mocking voices, the same empty place beside her where a bond should have been. Her life was a cycle of silence and sadness, but behind her quiet eyes, a storm was growing. And somewhere, far away from the alien colony, a human ship was traveling through space. A human who had no idea that their path was about to cross with a girl no one wanted. A girl whose destiny was waiting to break free. The alien colony was used to visitors from other worlds. Traders came and went, ships landed with cargo, and deals were made. But when the human ship entered orbit, the whole colony paused. Humans were rare here. Most aliens thought of them as weak creatures, short lives, fragile bodies, no glowing energy like their own. Yet humans had a strange reputation. They survived in places no one else dared to live. They fought wars against enemies far stronger than themselves and still won. Some said humans carried a spirit that no science could explain. The ship landed on the edge of the colony. Its metal wings folded in, steam hissed out, and the ramp slowly lowered. Out stepped one human. He was young, with curious eyes that studied everything around him. His clothes were simple, marked with the symbol of peacekeepers. His name was Daniel. Daniel was not here for war. He had been sent as part of an exchange program to learn about alien cultures and share human knowledge. But as soon as he walked through the colony gates, he could feel the eyes of the aliens on him. Their gazes were sharp, some cold, some curious. He smiled politely, but few smiled back. The colony leaders greeted him, offering words of welcome. They spoke of trade, of cooperation, of rules he must follow. Daniel nodded, listening. Carefully. He tried to be respectful, but inside he felt something was missing. He had been in many alien worlds before, but this place felt different. It was bright on the surface, yet heavy underneath, as if something was hidden. That evening, while walking through the busy market, Daniel noticed something strange. Among the laughing aliens, the trading voices, and the glowing lights, he saw a figure sitting alone in the shadows. It was the alien girl. She kept her head low, her thin hands holding a small piece of bread. Around her, others passed as if she did not exist. Some even turned their faces away. No one spoke to her. No one offered her a seat. Daniel slowed down. He felt a pull, as if his steps were being guided toward her. Something in her stillness caught his heart. When he finally stopped in front of her, she raised her head slightly. Her pale eyes met his for the first time. For a moment, neither spoke. The noise of the market faded, and only the silence between them remained. Daniel gave a small smile. "Hello?" She blinked, unsure. No one had spoken to her kindly in years, especially not a stranger. "May I sit here?" he asked. The girl looked around. The aliens nearby were staring, whispering. Some shook their heads. One laughed and muttered, "Look, the human doesn't know who she is." But Daniel ignored them. He sat down beside her. The girl's heart raced. She wanted to speak, but fear held her voice. She thought, he will leave soon. Everyone always leaves. Yet Daniel stayed. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She hesitated. Her voice came out soft, almost broken. "Lyra." "Lyra," Daniel repeated, as if the name itself mattered. "That's beautiful." No one had ever said her name that way before. For the first time in many years, she felt seen. The aliens around them grew restless. Some shouted, "Human, don't waste your time! She's nothing." Others laughed louder, hoping to embarrass Lyra. But Daniel's eyes stayed on her. He didn't look away. He didn't laugh. He simply asked, "Would you like to walk with me?" Lyra froze. Walk with him? No one had ever asked. She looked at her weak leg, then back at him. I am slow," she whispered. "That's okay," Daniel said. "I'm not in a hurry." The crowd stared in disbelief as the human stood and offered his hand. Slowly, carefully, Lyra placed her hand in his. Together, they walked through the market. Whispers followed them like shadows. The human has lost his mind. He doesn't know who she is. This will not end well. But Daniel didn't care. As they walked, he asked her small questions. What she liked to eat, where she lived, what she enjoyed. At first, her answers were short, but step by step, word by word, her silence began to break. When they reached the cliffs overlooking the stars, Daniel stopped. He looked out at the endless sky. "Beautiful," he said softly. Lyra stood beside him. For years she had stood alone at this very spot, whispering her hopes into the night. And now, someone was beside her. A human, a stranger. Yet somehow, he felt closer than anyone ever had. Daniel glanced at her and asked, "Why do they treat you this way?" Her chest tightened. She wanted to tell him everything, the pain, the rejection, the secret she carried inside, but fear held her again. If she told him, would he laugh too? Would he leave like the others? So she only whispered, "Because I am different." Daniel nodded slowly. He didn't push her. He didn't ask more. Instead, he said, "Sometimes being different is the most powerful thing in the universe." Her eyes widened. No one had ever said that to her. That night, as the stars shone above, something invisible connected them. Not yet a bond, not yet trust, but the beginning of something that could change both their lives. And far away, beyond the stars, danger was moving closer, a danger that only Lyra could sense. The next morning, the colony woke as usual. Lights flickered on HFY. Ross, the tall towers, ships took off into the skies, and voices filled the streets, but whispers spread quickly. The human had walked with the outcast. Everywhere Daniel went, eyes followed him. Some stared with curiosity, others with disgust. He heard the soft laughter, the mocking words, but he did not care. His thoughts were fixed on the girl, Lyra. She too felt the change. As she limped through the colony paths, the voices around her were sharper than before. Now she tricks even the human. She will bring shame to us. No human will stay near her for long. The words cut deep, but this time something was different. For the first time, she had someone who looked at her not with pity, not with anger, but with kindness. That single memory gave her strength. Later that day, Daniel found her again. She was sitting under the shadow of a broken wall, far from the market. She looked up as his footsteps approached. "You came back," she whispered, surprised. "Of course," Daniel replied with a smile. "Why wouldn't I?" "No one ever comes back," she said quietly. He sat down beside her. "Then maybe it's time that changed." Lyra lowered her gaze. She wanted to believe him, but her heart had been broken too many times. She thought, he will leave, just like the rest. Better not to trust, better not to hope. Daniel noticed her silence. He didn't push. Instead, he pulled a small object from his pocket, a round silver coin marked with strange human symbols. He placed it in her hand. "This is from my world," he explained. "We give coins like this to remind us of important moments. You can keep it if you want." Her pale fingers closed around the coin. No one had ever given her a gift before, not once in her life. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling. Daniel's answer was simple. "Because I see you." Those 3 words hit her harder than any insult ever had. Her cheek ached, not from pain, but from a strange warmth she had almost forgotten existed. But before she could reply, a group of young aliens appeared. They were strong, tall, their glowing eyes filled with scorn. One of them sneered, "Look at this. The human sits with the broken one again." Another laughed. "Does he not know she is cursed?" They circled closer, their energy flickering like fire. Daniel stood quickly, placing himself between Lyra and the group. "She is not cursed," Daniel said firmly. "She is just as valuable as any of you." The aliens mocked him. "You don't understand our ways, human. She has no bond. She is nothing." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to fight back, but he remembered his mission. He was here as a peacekeeper, not a warrior. Still, he would not move aside. The young aliens threw small stones at Lyra's feet, laughing cruelly. "Show him your power, outcast. Oh wait, you have none." Lyra trembled, her hands shaking. She wanted to vanish, to disappear, but then in her palm she still felt the weight of the human coin, and for the first time, she refused to stay silent. "Stop," she said softly, but firmly. The aliens froze for a second, surprised she had spoken. Then something strange happened. The air around her shifted. The small stones on the ground trembled, as if touched by an unseen force. The young aliens looked at each other nervously. "What is this?" one whispered. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly just for a moment. She had not meant for it to happen. It was the hidden energy inside her, the secret she had carried for so long. For years she had kept it buried, afraid of their laughter. But now, it slipped out. Daniel saw it too. His heart raced. She has power, he realized. She's not weak at all. The young aliens stepped back, uncertain. Their mocking voices fell silent. With nervous glances, they turned and left, muttering among themselves. When they were gone, Lyra collapsed back against the wall, her breathing heavy. I didn't want them to see. Daniel. Elle knelt beside her. What was that? She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. It is why they hate me. I am not like them. I feel things, see things, but no one believes me. They say I lie. They say I am cursed. Daniel's voice was calm, steady. I believe you. Her eyes widened. You believe me? Yes, he said without hesitation. I saw it with my own eyes. You're not cursed, Lyra. You're special. Her chest ached again, but this time with hope. His words were simple, yet they shattered the chains of doubt that had held her for so long. For the first time, she did not feel invisible. For the first time, someone believed in her. That night, she held the human coin in one hand and her mother's crystal in the other. Between the two, she felt a strange balance, past and future, sorrow and hope. She whispered to herself, maybe I'm not alone anymore. But outside, in the dark skies above the colony, shadows were moving. A fleet of unknown ships drifted closer, silent and deadly. The colony had no idea. Only Lyra could feel the danger coming, and only Daniel would listen. The night was still, but Lyra could not sleep. Her small shelter felt colder than usual. The voices of the bullies still echoed in her head, but stronger than those voices was the memory of what had happened, the glow in her eyes, the trembling of the stones, the way the air itself seemed to answer her. She sat alone, clutching her mother's crystal in one hand and the human coin in the other. Two worlds, two symbols. For years, she had believed her gift was a curse. Now, for the first time, she wondered if maybe it was something else. Outside, the colony carried on as if nothing had happened. The aliens trained, traded, laughed, and slept. But far away, in the black void beyond the stars, something stirred. Ships with dark metal hulls, silent as shadows, moved toward the colony. No one saw them. No alarms rang, but Lyra felt them. Her chest tightened. The same strange energy filled her veins. Her heart pounded as images flashed in her mind. Flames, destruction, screams. She gasped, dropping the coin. "They're coming," she whispered. The next morning, Daniel found her near the cliffs again. She looked tired, her eyes heavy from lack of sleep. "You didn't rest," he said softly. She shook her head. "I felt something." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. Should she tell him? Would he laugh like the others? But then she remembered how he had stood for her, how he had said, "I believe you." So she told him, "There are ships, dark ships. They are coming closer. I can feel them. No one else can, but I know it is true." Daniel studied her face. He saw no lie there, only fear, and something deeper, certainty. "You've felt this before, haven't you?" he asked. Lyra nodded slowly. "Since I was a child, small things at first, storms, accidents. Once I saved a bird before a rock fell on it, but when I tried to warn others about bigger things, they laughed. They said I wanted attention. After that, I stopped telling anyone." Daniel's eyes softened. "But you didn't stop feeling it." Her voice trembled. "No, and now, it is stronger than ever." For a moment, they were silent. The wind carried the sound of waves crashing against the cliffs. Then Daniel said, "Lyra, this isn't a curse. It's a gift. If danger is coming, maybe you're the only one who can stop it." Her chest tightened. Stop it? She, the outcast, the broken one? It sounded impossible. "I am not strong," she whispered. Daniel shook his head. Strength isn't only in muscles or weapons. Sometimes strength is in knowing what others cannot see. Sometimes strength is simply telling the truth, even when no one believes you. Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever told her she could matter. But their moment was cut short. Voices shouted behind them. A group of alien guards approached, their wing armor flashing. "Human!" the leader barked. "Step away from the outcast. You are being misled." Daniel stood his ground. "She's not misleading me," the guard sneered. "She fills your head with lies. She has no bond, no value. She is cursed." "She's not cursed," Daniel snapped. "She has a gift, and you're blind to it." The guards laughed coldly. "A gift? Do you not see? She is weak, broken. Her words are poison." Lyra trembled, fear rising inside her. She wanted to hide, but then the energy surged again, stronger this time. The crystal in her hand glowed faintly. She gasped as another vision struck her. She saw fire raining from the sky, alien towers crumbling, ships screaming in flames, and then darkness. "No," she cried, clutching her head. Daniel caught her shoulders. "What is it? What do you see?" Her voice shook. "The ships. They will attack soon. The colony will burn." The guards froze, startled by her sudden outburst. One of them spat, "Lies! She seeks attention again." But the leader frowned. For just a moment he hesitated. Her voice was different this time. It carried weight, fear. Daniel looked at them firmly. "You can laugh or you can prepare, but if you ignore her, it will cost lives." The guards exchanged nervous glances, then left, muttering among themselves. When they were gone, Lyra collapsed into Daniel's arms. Her body shook with exhaustion. "They won't listen," she whispered. Daniel held her steady. "Then we'll make them listen." That night, as darkness fell, Daniel brought her to the colony's observation tower. From there, stars filled the sky. He showed her the human scanners, the screens that tracked distant objects. "Show me where you feel it," he said. Her hand trembled as she pointed to a dark corner of space. "There, the shadows." Daniel entered commands, adjusting the scanners. For a long moment, nothing happened. And faint blips appeared on the screen, unidentified ships. His eyes widened. "You were right." Lyra's breath caught in her throat. For years, she had been called a liar. Now proof glowed before them. Daniel turned to her, his voice low but steady. "This is your power, Lyra, and it might be the only thing that saves us." Her heart pounded. For For the first time, she did not feel cursed. She felt chosen. But deep inside, fear still lingered. If the ships came, could she truly do anything? Or would she fail, just as everyone always believed? She gripped the crystal tight, whispering to herself, I am not broken. I am not cursed. And far beyond the stars, the dark fleet drew closer, ready to strike. The stars above the colony always looked calm. 2 suns lit the towers by day, and the twin moons guarded the skies by night. The alien people believed they were safe, protected by their strong walls and advanced ships, but safety was only an illusion. Far beyond the moons, the dark fleet moved closer. Their ships were sharp like knives, their engines silent, their purpose clear: destruction. Inside the observation tower, Daniel stared at the scanner. The faint blips on the screen grew stronger, brighter. Each minute, more appeared. Dozens of ships, maybe hundreds. His chest tightened. This is no accident, he whispered. Beside him, Lara shivered. The energy inside her grew heavy, pressing against her chest like a storm ready to break. Her visions had been true. The danger was real. The next morning, Daniel went with Lyra to the council chamber. The leaders of the colony sat in tall chairs, glowing robes across their shoulders. Their eyes were cold as Daniel spoke. Unidentified ships are moving toward this planet, he said firmly. I saw them on the scanner, and Lyra felt them before the machines even detected them. You must prepare. The council murmured, exchanging doubtful looks. Finally, one of the elders leaned forward. And you expect us to believe the word of an outcast? She has no bond. She is nothing. Daniel's voice rose.
She is not nothing. She has a gift. If you ignore her, you will regret it. The elder waved a hand dismissively. Our defenses are strong. Our fleets are ready. No shadow fleet can harm us. Lyra stood silently behind Daniel, her hands clenched tight. She wanted to shout, to beg them to listen, but fear chained her voice. She had been silenced too many times before. At last, Daniel shook his head. If you will not listen, then you will watch your people fall. The council ended the meeting, refusing to act. That night, as the colony slept, Lyra climbed again to the cliffs. She stared at the stars, her weak leg trembling beneath her. She felt the darkness moving closer, like icy fingers wrapping around her heart. She whispered, Why won't they listen? Why do they hate me so much? A hand rested gently on her shoulder. Daniel stood beside her, silent for a moment. Then he said, Because people fear what they don't understand. But that doesn't make them right. She looked at him, her pale eyes reflecting the starlight. They will never believe me. Daniel shook his head. They don't have to. I believe you. And that's enough. For a brief moment, warmth spread through her chest. The human's words felt like fire against the cold of her loneliness. But the warmth vanished quickly as another vision struck her. Flames, screams, towers falling, the twin moons hidden by smoke. She gasped and fell to her knees. Daniel knelt beside her. Lyra! Tears slid down her cheeks. It's almost here. The fleet, the attack. I can feel it. And at that very moment, the colony's alarm bells rang. The skies lit up as shadows appeared above the towers. Ships, dozens of them, pierced through the atmosphere. Their black hulls swallowed the starlight, their weapons glowing red. The ground shook as the first blast struck the outer walls. The colony erupted into chaos. Aliens screamed, running through the streets. Guards shouted orders. Fighters launched into the sky, but many were destroyed before they even reached orbit. The enemy fleet moved like a storm, relentless and merciless. From the cliffs, Daniel and Lyra watched in horror. The council had been wrong. Their defenses were not enough. They're tearing us apart, Daniel muttered. Lyra's chest burned with energy. She could feel every blast, every scream, as if the pain of the colony was inside her. Her body trembled with the weight of it. Daniel grabbed her hand. What do you see? Tell me. Her eyes glowed faintly. I see their pattern, their ships. They move like a wave. They strike in cycles. There's a moment, a gap, before the next wave begins. If we time it right, the colony can strike back. Daniel's eyes widened. You can see that? She nodded, her voice shaking. Yes, but no one will listen to me. He squeezed her hand. Then we'll make them listen. I'll take you to the command center. You tell them what you see. I'll make them believe. For the first time, she didn't argue. She didn't say no. She simply nodded. Together, they ran through the burning streets. Alien soldiers rushed past them, their faces pale with fear. Buildings crumbled, smoke filled the air, and the night glowed red with fire. At the command center, the council shouted orders in panic. Screens flashed warnings, alarms screamed. Ships were falling one after another. Daniel pushed his way inside with Lyra.
Listen to her, he shouted. She can see their pattern. She knows when they will strike. The council scoffed, even as the room shook with another explosion. We will not trust the word of an outcast, one elder hissed. But before Daniel could argue, Lyra stepped forward. Her voice, usually soft and trembling, rang clear. If you don't listen, you will all die. The room fell silent. Her eyes glowed faintly again, the crystal in her hand shining like a star. They attack in waves, she continued. There is a gap only seconds long. If your fighters strike it, during that gap you can break their formation. If you wait, this colony will fall. The leaders stared at her, uncertain. Doubt warred with fear. Finally, one commander shouted, She may be right. We have no choice. We must try. The order was given. Fighters regrouped, waiting for Lyra's signal. She stood at the center of the command room, her heart pounding. The colony's fate now rested on the word of the outcast. The command center was filled with panic. Screens flashed red warnings, the ground shook from explosions, and voices shouted over one another. The colony's mighty defenses were failing. For the first time in centuries, the aliens realized they might not survive. And there, in the middle of it all, stood Lyra, the one they had always rejected. Her weak leg trembled, her hands shook, but her eyes glowed faintly with the strange light of her visions. She raised her voice. Now, tell your fighters to hold. The next wave will not strike for 5 seconds. Wait, then fire at the center of their formation. The commanders hesitated. The elders of the council whispered angrily. She is no soldier. She has no bond. Why should we listen to her? Daniel stepped forward, his voice strong. Because she's the only one who saw this coming. Your scanners detected nothing until it was too late. She warned you. And now she's giving you the chance to survive. Silence followed. Then another commander slammed his fist against the table. We cannot delay. If she is wrong, we lose everything. Lyra's chest burned with pressure. Doubt filled the room. Once again, she was the outcast, standing at the edge of rejection. She could feel their distrust like sharp knives. But then Daniel's hand brushed hers, steadying her. He leaned close and whispered, I believe in you, no matter what. Her breath caught. His words gave her the courage she needed. She lifted her chin and sobbed. Poke louder. If you don't trust me, then you are already lost. But if you do, you will win. The room shook as another blast hit the outer walls. The choice had to be made now. Shouted, Hold fire! Wait for her signal! The alien pilots in their sleek ships pulled back, holding formation. The enemy fleet charged closer, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The colony waited, trembling. Lyra closed her eyes. She felt the rhythm of the battle, like a storm rolling in waves. Her gift let her sense the pattern, the rise, the strike, the silence. Her heart raced with it. Then, she felt it. The gap. Now, she cried. The fighters launched their attack, striking at the enemy's center. Beams of light cut across the sky. Explosions lit the darkness as the enemy formation broke apart. For the first time, the colony had pushed back the shadow fleet. Cheers erupted in the command center. The pilots shouted in victory over the comms. We hit them. Their line is broken. But Lyra did not celebrate. She knew it was not over. She could still feel the enemy's hunger, the darkness pressing closer. She turned quickly. They will change tactics. They will circle from the east side next. You must move your defenses now. Again, the council hesitated, but this time the commander did not wait. Move the fleet. Defend the east. The fighters shifted, guided not by scanners or council orders, but by the voice of the girl they once mocked. Daniel watched her in awe. She stood straighter now, her weak legs still trembling but no longer holding her back. For the first time, she looked like what she had always been, a leader. The battle raged on for hours. Each time the enemy shifted, Lyra felt it. Each time she warned, and each time the colony followed. Again and again her visions proved true. The enemy grew frustrated, their perfect attacks crumbling against unexpected defenses. But with every vision, the energy drained her. Sweat covered her forehead, her hands shook violently, and her body weakened. Daniel noticed her struggling. You need to rest, he whispered. She shook her head. If I stop, they will die. Then let me carry the weight with you, Daniel said. He stood close, steadying her, repeating her commands with a strong voice so the commanders heard clearly. Together, human and alien outcast became one voice, the voice that turned the tide of battle. At last, the enemy ships began to retreat. The shadow fleet pulled back, broken and scattered, vanishing into the darkness of space. The command center erupted in cheers. Soldiers embraced one another. The council looked around in disbelief. They had survived. But in the middle of the victory, Lyra collapsed. Her body fell limp, the crystal slipping from her hand. Daniel caught her before she hit the ground. "Lyra, stay with me!" Her eyes fluttered open. She looked weak, fragile, but she managed a faint smile. "I told you. They would listen." "You saved them," Daniel whispered. "You saved everyone." The council members stepped closer, their faces full of shame. For years they had mocked her, cast her aside. Now they had no choice but to face the truth. The outcast had become their savior. But Lyra did not care about their stares anymore. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. Someone had believed in her. Someone had trusted her. Her hand found Daniel's, holding it tightly. "Don't leave me," she whispered. "I won't," he said firmly. The battle was over, but the war was not. Everyone knew the Shadow Fleet would return, stronger than before, and when they did, the colony would need her again. But for now, the stars above looked brighter, as if the universe itself had witnessed the outcast rise. The colony was alive with noise. Cheers filled the streets, fires were being put out, and survivors embraced each other with relief. Against all odds, they had survived the Shadow Fleet's attack. But at the center of the command room, there was no celebration. Daniel knelt on the floor, holding Lyra in his arms. Her body was weak, her eyes half closed, her breath shallow. She had given everything, her visions, her strength, her spirit, to save the very people who had once thrown her aside. Daniel's voice trembled. "Stay with me, Lyra, please." Her pale lips moved slowly. "I'm still here." He gripped her hand tighter. Around them, the commanders and council stood in silence. Some lowered their eyes in shame. Others looked at her with awe. For years, they had called her broken. Now they knew the truth. Without her, they would all be ashes. One elder stepped forward. "You saved us. We were blind to your worth. Forgive us." But Lyra shook her head faintly. "You do not need my forgiveness. What I needed was a chance. You gave me none. He did." Her eyes turned to Daniel. For the first time in her life, she smiled without fear. The colony doctors carried her to the healing chambers. Days passed. The wounds on her body slowly recovered, but the exhaustion in her soul ran deeper. Daniel visited her every day. He brought food, stories from Earth, and quiet comfort. He never left her side for long. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky in gold and purple, Daniel sat beside her bed. "You were incredible," he said softly. "You stood when everyone doubted you. You saw what no one else could. You saved thousands of lives." Her eyes shimmered with tears. "I only did what I felt. But without you, I would have stayed silent. You gave me courage." Daniel shook his head. "No, that courage was already inside you. I only reminded you it was there." The room fell quiet, filled only with the hum of the healing machines. Then, slowly, Lyra lifted her hand. It trembled as she reached toward him. "In my world," she whispered, "we bond with those who see us, who accept us. No one ever wanted to bond with me. But now, if I could choose, I would choose you." Daniel's heart pounded. He knew what bonding meant in her society. It was more than friendship, more than alliance. It was a connection deeper than blood, a promise of loyalty, a sharing of strength. He took her hand gently. "Then I choose you too." The crystal on her bedside table glowed faintly. A soft light surrounded their joined hands. Lyra gasped as warmth flooded her chest. For the first time, she felt energy flowing into her. Not rejection, not cruelty, but acceptance. Daniel felt it too. Though he was human, though he was not like her kind, something in his spirit connected with hers. The bond was real. When the light faded, they looked at each other in silence. No words were needed. The news spread quickly through the colony. The outcast had bonded, not with one of their own, but with a human. Whispers turned into arguments, arguments into debates. Some were shocked, some were furious, but many for the first time began to question their old ways. "Perhaps we were wrong," one elder admitted. "She was stronger than all of us," another said quietly. Days later, when Lyra was strong enough to walk again, she and Daniel stood before the council. This time, she did not lower her head. She stood tall, her pale eyes shining. "You called me cursed," she said firmly. "You called me broken, but I was never broken. I was different, and being different saved you." The council was silent. None dared argue. Daniel stepped beside her. "If you want to survive what comes next, you need her. You need to listen to the voices you once ignored. Strength isn't only in power, It's in trust, in unity. The room fell quiet, heavy with truth. From that day on, the colony changed, slowly, painfully, but surely. The outcast was no longer invisible. She was the seer, the savior, the girl who had bonded with a human. Children whispered her name not with cruelty, but with wonder. Adults who once turned away now bowed their heads when she passed. But Lara did not eke their praise. What mattered most was the bond she carried inside her heart. She had spent a lifetime waiting for someone to see her, and now she was no longer alone. On the cliffs where she once stood in silence, she now stood with Daniel. Together they watched the stars. "The fleet will return," she said quietly. "I can feel it. This was only the beginning." Daniel nodded. "Then we'll be ready, together." The wind carried their words into the night. The stars above glowed brighter, as if listening. The outcast was outcast no more. She was bonded, she was believed, and she was ready for whatever darkness the universe would bring.